All right, good evening, everyone. Here we are. We find ourselves Wednesday, October 16th, 8
November,
p.m. November. What did I say?
October.
Let me start over. Hi, everyone. This is Kenneth Price, and this is Wednesday, November 16th, and this is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time for the Wednesday midweek Zoom call for the ministry I'm hosting, psychiatricsobriety.com. It's our 34th midweek Zoom call. We've got like 50 Sunday Zoom calls. So you do the math, 50 plus 34, we're in we're going into the 80s here. I've been doing this ministry for over a year now. And here's why I'm doing this ministry. Because I say this 5 minutes before every single Zoom call, because someone's got to do this ministry. Someone has to. Spent 25 years of my life completely lost in the mental health system. Now, I still had jobs and I still had places to live, but I was mentally ill. And I just had this fear that if I went off my pills, everything would go foobar. Well, I did go off my pills, and everything came out, but it didn't go. It wasn't foobar. Foobar is short for fucked up beyond all repair. No, I went off my pills, and everything came out for healing. Okay, that's why I host these Zoom calls. I made it to the other side of that, volcanic or emotional and psychological and spiritual volcanic eruption, and I made monumental discoveries. I can't not share these discoveries. That psychiatric parable that lasted 25 years turned out to be the best thing that happened to me. So, what am I doing? I'm hosting a ministry, and I'm sharing this phenomenal trajectory with others. And others have been coming on board for over 80 calls. And what we're doing is essential. What we're doing, it's not what I'm doing. I, 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 I've been posting these to Facebook pages for the last year, and it's been evolving, it's been growing, it's been changing according to the needs of every single Zoom call. I came off of psych meds and benzodiazepines, so for the sake of this ministry, I do like this message to go out for people who are coming off their pharmaceuticals. That being said, we deal with the root causes that caused us to rely on the pharmaceuticals in the first place. We deal with the root causes and the beliefs that gave us the belief in mental illness in the first place. It's kind of complicated, so please follow us on this entire Zoom call. The Zoom call lasts for 60 minutes. It's going to be recorded for YouTube for 60 minutes. After the 60 minutes, I turn off the record button, and the Zoom room's open for anything that's more fragile. You don't want to broadcast on the internet, but I encourage you to stay and broadcast as much as possible, because that's when I started to really rock and roll, beyond all that. When I finally stopped being ashamed, I just told the world, this is who I am. This is my history. This is my story. Kind of like when I was first coming out. I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it. So I'm here, I was mentally ill, get used to it. That's when things began to rock and roll. Nobody cared. And as a matter of fact, just the opposite happened. People began to come forward. I became a wounded healer. And, as soon as I started sharing the gift of emergence, it solidified in me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That was about 4 minutes. Disclaimers, disclaimers, disclaimers. We're not telling anybody to get off their psych meds. We're not saying what's wrong with psychiatry. We're not saying what's wrong with psych meds, okay? If you follow these Zoom calls, you'll get to understand that we're not here to protest. We're here to build. We're here to heal. We're here to do all the things but protest. Mother Teresa said, "I will not attend a protest rally, but I will attend a peace rally." So there, that's it. For the sake of harm reduction disclaimers, if you're going through a withdrawal, we can love you to death, but we can't tell you what to do. I can share with you what I did, but you've got to just take what you like and leave the rest. That's basically my gist from, my years in 12-step programs. Start off every single Zoom call with the healer's prayer, because I'm not running this show. God is running the show. And so here's how we bring her into this call. The healer's prayer is from A Course in Miracles, and it goes like this. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing that he or she goes there with us, and we will all be healed because we will let him or her teach us how to heal. That's the foundation of this entire ministry. If you want to get mentally well, just read the healer's prayer over and over and over. That's basically what I did. So, all right. Howdy, beloved. How's your week going? You got that big smile on your face. I just want all your wisdom recorded. So I got the record button going. The little red lights going beep, beep, beep. So
I see it up there recording.
You're on.
Yeah. Maybe this is our chance to do a little interview. I get to interview you.
Me? Ask any questions.
Yeah.
My life's an open book. We'll have to bleep out some of the X-rated stuff, because my parables can be quite. I had one woman in Mexico, Betty. I was writing my book and she was editing it. She goes, this is like 50 Shades of Grey, only for homosexuals. And
Well,
I said, well, yeah,
I don't know that I would interview you for your story. You recorded that pretty much. Maybe I could get something else.
Whatever you like. It's just the two of us. So maybe this is where the guidance is going.
Yeah, because I'm really interested in the 12-step and A Course in Miracles. And as I learn more about the 12-step, what a powerful gift that is to the world, and how it was set up free for everybody and very egalitarian, So who you are really doesn't matter, because everybody's there for the same reason, right? And I think that's something I'd like to say here, is that we all have different stories, and it is psychiatric sobriety, so it's connected to mental illness. That's right. That's what brings us all together. But we have different stories within that. But beyond the stories, what lies beyond on that we all can witness to on our journey. And that's what I want to kind of get at. Like, when did you figure out everybody was crazy? Even though you became crazy, but how old were you when you started figuring out something wasn't right? People weren't telling you the truth, or what started your journey for truth? Really, that's what I'm trying to get at.
That's a beautiful question. What an honor, a privilege, someone to ask me that question. God has been with me the whole time. I didn't know it was God, or I don't call it God, my spirit guide, or I'll never know, because he or she's never materialized, really. Well, except until Marsha showed up. But I must have been about 10 or 11 when I started drawing cartoons, because everything was nuts. And I said, you know what? This is funny. I had to make it funny. If I didn't make it funny, my brother couldn't make it funny. And it was serious shit for him. But I had to survive one way or the other. And I started drawing cartoons to make it funny. It was also kind of a cry for help, saying to the adults, can you see my artwork? Can you see from the perspective of an 11-year-old? You guys. So I guess your question was, when did I begin to realize everyone was nuts? Well, there's a somewhere in my brother's attic, there's got to be a box full of cartoons from Kenny Price, dating back to the 1970s and 1980s, when a little 11-year-old was drawing. And actually, by the way, I still have that same caricature. Look at Happy Children cartoons. you know, but for, today they're happy children cartoons, but, back in the 80s, they were, you know, a burgeoning, young man about ready to go through puberty crying for help. Um, but I just made it funny because I said, I just knew it was nuts. Um, we didn't have, back in the late 70s, 80s, we didn't have words like mental illness. I mean, and given all my cognitive, um, developmental retardation, and given, all of my, developmental traumas, plural, I certainly didn't have words for it. I was what they would call, I mean, I didn't learn how to write. I didn't learn how to write until, my second year in college. Amazing how I even made it into college. That's another story. I have no idea how I even made it into college. Didn't learn how to write until my second year in college. Okay, so
That's like I can't even process that because I have read your book. I read your writing. That is like I don't even understand that. Wow.
it's the developmental trauma was off the charts. But there was some. I'll tell you this much: someone loved me. My grandmother loved me and loved me. She couldn't stop what was happening at home. She had no control, but she could love. That's the power. That's you know, we can go through all the metaphysics, and we do. It's great that we go through all the metaphysics. We can go through, but it's the power of love. She looked into my eyes and she said, "Kiddo, I mean, these weren't her exact words, but I can just put the words into her mouth now." She said, "I ain't got much longer. My body." She used to say, "My body's running out of steam. I'm gonna give it to you." She intuitively knows she was on the way out, but she was gonna pour it on me the last couple of years of her life, and she was gonna give it all she's got, and I'll be goddamned it worked. Basically, I should have taken myself out of the game in the late '80s. Considering I landed on the streets of West Hollywood, in 1985. I was blonde and beautiful, stupid, naive, and with all that developmental trauma, I should have been wiped off the slate. I'm here, and yeah. So what? So what if it's taken 55 years for me to catch up with my intimate relationships? So what if it's that those people, and I've said it before. Oh, the lost years. No, no, and that's why this is such an important message for people in this ministry. Oh, I've lost all this time. I've lost all this time. No, that those years of psych meds, benzodiazepines, and I'll go back. I'll get back to your 12 steps. Um, when I walked into my first 12-step meeting in the late '80s, do you think I could process that? I mean, do you think I could cognitively think, oh, higher power, spirituality, 12 steps? No, but I could sense the love. I could feel the love in that room. Who cares about the 12 steps? I wouldn't be ready for that to digest, the depth of the 12 steps for decades. I don't care. Those people loved. See the point of this? See why it has to be a ministry?
I think that is a metaphysical power. Metaphysical just means you just don't see it. I mean, where is love? Where is it under a microscope? We cannot put it under a microscope. We experience it, right? And you were blessed to have this metaphysical experience of love. So maybe not the principles and the concepts and all this stuff, the deep, profound wisdom wasn't available because it couldn't be. We can't beat ourselves up for where we were. I mean, it was appropriate for you to be at the consciousness level, let's say. Let's say it's a consciousness level. So you're at the consciousness level, but you knew love. That is amazing.
That's a gift.
That was a gift.
And sort of like, I mean, of course, obviously, I'm here at the Peace House in Cincinnati, remodeling for David Hoffmeister. Of course, I'm a complicated, is it necessary? No. Let's get back to one of my heroes. How about Forrest Gump? Forrest Gump was a Course in Miracles student? No. he didn't need it. He was didn't need Course of Miracles. The only purpose of the Course of Miracles is to help the people who have complicated the hell out of their lives unwind themselves, especially the intellects with the PhD. Ooh, we're an intellect with a PhD. Oh boy, this one's going to be a mess. We've got a mess on our hands. I'm not making a carte blanche statement.
And we found out that those of us who are extremely intelligent have a difficult time. When did you deal with, the programming? I think that's important. We all came in here and started getting programmed. But there was something within us knew it wasn't right. You right? You had something that must have been like, or this is wrong. I mean, you didn't accept whatever was being done, or, like it was your due. Did you? Were you? Did you rebel? Did you know it was wrong and you were fearful? Did you? I mean, what really?
There was a sixth sense. I had my first, and I got to be careful. I've learned I've got to be careful on this Zoom call because now it's getting out. I can't mention any names. Let's just say that when I was 21 years old, I met a man who was 10 years older, and one thing led to another, and we became instant boyfriends. And he wanted this to last for the rest of our lives. He really wanted to. He did everything in his power to turn this into even wore I wore a ring on this finger. Bless him, God bless him, thank him. But something inside of me said, "This ain't it, kiddo." It was, in other words, it was extraordinarily codependent. But it was, by the way, it saved his life and it saved mine. It was the best week. It was the best two young men could do in 1989. Actually, if it hadn't been for each other, we might have both, taken each other out. Spirit put us together for 12 months. But I at the same time, I knew this isn't it. I don't know what it is, but I know this isn't it. Leave him. I went to 12 steps of AA. I said, and still, even in the early 90s, it was the 12 steps. I may say there was a lot of love, and there was a lot of love, but there was a lot of dogma. There was a lot of religiosity. There was a lot of judgment. What are you doing? You're going to put a room full of a bunch of sick alcoholic gay men. You think you're going to all of a sudden get miracles? You're going to get a room full of sick alcoholic gay men who aren't drinking. Okay, so that chapter into my late 20s, early 30s, I said, maybe it's graduate school. Maybe if I pursue a degree in architecture. Still, nothing wrong. I'm seeking, I've told this Zoom call, over 140 videos. I was seeking. I don't know what it is, but I know when I'll find it.
And I think that's a common theme. That's what I'm trying to pull out of you, Kenneth, is that throughout your journey, there was guidance. And maybe you didn't, of course, we don't see it at the time. But as you've said many times, everything happened for you, not to you. And I just love your instinct, and to see if you can, that even led you to start this ministry. That's what I'm telling you. It's not like you had a choice. It's not like you had a choice not to get off of those. This sounds like to me, like it was just what you had to do because this is what you have to do now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't have foretold your journey, but as you're sharing it with us, it's certainly true that it was for all of us who've come to listen, and for all of us that have come to join in. And what was it about? I can't even tell you what it was about you that compelled me to be part of this. I mean, that was like, really, I can't even tell you, but it was like you were like, I had to meet you. I had to get into this. And I just want you to know that. So this is a consciousness thing that we're here talking about. It is metaphysical. We are going to get talking about what you can't see and measure, but we can get science in here because it's all been proven scientifically as well. And certainly, you're a miracle because you got off and you're fine. You're fine. You're not what people would think, right? You often say, I'm not damaged in any way. What about that? It sounds like you're better and improved because you went through that and transcended it. What do you think?
That's the message of this ministry. You know, one of the things that it wasn't on my timeline until age 50. I mean, that the timeline was there before I was even born. The timeline said you're gonna pop out of this cocoon at age 50. Now this is what I want to. If my purpose in life, the purpose is to accept the atonement for yourself. That's of course, yes. Now let's massage that a little bit. And as you've said so much, I'm going to see how many of these bases I can cover. I also heard is Kenneth, your purpose is to share this testimony so that others will keep going. I had to keep going. Agnes told me, I can mention her name because, well, I'll just say call her A. Years ago, she goes, she said, kiddo, she was my first Al-Anon sponsor. She said, kiddo, I don't know what it is, a kiddo. I mean, I look at all the hairs, but anyway, I had this baby face for most of my life, so I thought it's kid. She said, there's something inside of you, kiddo. There's a light inside of you because most people would have committed suicide by now. And so I keep going back to my grandmother. I keep going back. I can't put it into words. There was a little boy inside of me, and he just said, "Get me out. Let me out. Let me out." I've used that term in this ministry before. I called the inner child, little boy, little girl. The other thing you brought up, beloved, was, this is the other message. You and I were supposed to meet. I can't explain it either. I can't, and this is why I want people to stick it out, because in my wake up decade is happening in my 50s, and it's an amazing. I'm playing catch up, and I'm playing it. I am playing catch up with all the energy and enthusiasm in the world, because there's no shame anymore of that story. I want this message to broadcast the internet. No shame. But once we get reconnected, then the synchronicities accelerate. You and I are an example of synchronicity. I don't know. I still don't know how we met. All I know is the first time you came running across the courtyard of Namaste, and there was an instant yes.
It was so crazy. And I think this is the miracle of this ministry. That we come together, that we share, that these amazing wisdom is shared, is really wow. I mean, when I do good deeds, I feel pretty good. I mean, you must feel pretty good. Do you feel you're making a difference? Do you feel you've got too much to do?
I had who was it? Now maybe I can mention this person's name. I can't. I'm too tired. I had a life coach, just one of countless angels, who somehow she found me. She found me in the throes of withdrawal, and she was kind of like she was an oracle. Maybe she had a crystal ball. She didn't know anything about withdrawing off psych meds, but she didn't need to. She said someday, given your trajectory, if you keep going, she said, you will have the life you always dreamed of. Now that it's starting to happen in the 50s is even more powerful. If this life, no, you might correct me on this, but maybe if I'd been given the life I dreamed of in my 20s, maybe I wouldn't appreciate it as much as
You did have the life you dreamed of if all the stories you told me is true. It sounded like you had a pretty, American dream life.
I was pretty on the outside and messed up on the inside.
Exactly. But that, it looked good. It looked good, didn't it? You look good.
Oh
So
God,
as long as the outside was, that's what the society supports. As long as the outside looked good, who cares how fucked up you are inside? Just play the game, just play the part.
I might as well have been one of those famous movie actors that was found dead at age 40 because it's the same thing. It's the same thing as being famous. Is you've got a persona that's powerful and bigger than life.
Absolutely.
And you come home and you wash it down with vodka and tranquilizers.
Absolutely.
I had a friend buy me what was that book by Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows. Judy Garland. That woman she had a huge heart. She was talented, and she was put on drugs as a young woman. And she said, I can't get out from under the rainbow. I did get out from under the rainbow, and I'm doing it. I'm Judy. This is for you, Judy, because I'm doing this for her. Because her life.
It's never over, Kenneth. I don't know why you keep beating that drum about age. Then I must be dead compared to you.
All right, next time.
Beating that drum about. Let me just say about time. And we are Course in Miracles students here, so time is just irrelevant. And I really want to be encouraging. I'm older than you, and I feel I'm finally now living my best life, to quote a trendy phrase. Okay. And I realize we're eternal anyways. If you want a story, it'll never end. But we are here to do what we are here to do. And whether you complete your job in this lifetime or not, it doesn't matter. I stopped thinking about that. I just focus on what I'm passionate about. Because if I don't finish it in this incarnation, in this car, I just come in another car because I'm very passionate about it. And I'm very passionate that that's what I'm here to do. And I think for many of us, we flopped around. What am I to do? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? Of course, these are the questions that brought us into mental illness because we couldn't find the answers, or to drugs, or whatever path whoever took. But I just lost my train of thought.
We couldn't find the answers.
We couldn't find the answers, but that's what we're here to do. And it's never over. So I stopped giving myself a timeline. Like, I'm this age, I got to get this done because I'll be too old. I don't do that anymore. And so, for all of us have wasted time, let's say, flopping around on this caterpillar world, on this 3D level. That was why we came. We came to emerge from it. So I'm happy that I was diagnosed mentally ill, because I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was. And I knew I wasn't able to deal with it. And I didn't know how. And this is the stories that brings us all together. This is the stories. And we all have miraculous obstacles. I mean, I can't understand what you did, because you did it. You can talk about it and tell us about it and how it is. And it's just going to be a story. But you know what it was for you to come through it. Isn't it amazing? Can you even believe it yourself? I mean, don't you feel, oh my God, wow, I'm here. It's for a great purpose.
I mean, you nailed it. There are many times throughout the day when I stop and I
Sorry.
said 50. I said, you're still here, Kenneth. I mean, this is my godfather says. He's 81. He wakes up every morning. He looks me in the face when I go see him, and he said, "Life's a gift." Life. I mean, he life's a gift. Yeah, yeah. We're here. Um, it's kind of like the moment you're. I love the way we're going in the direction of time, because the moment of awakening erases past the future.
Yeah.
It does, and I'm glad. This is perfect. We need this archived. What is awakening for us? You know, I mean, we were seekers both, asking the question, but we were asking the wrong teacher. It's no accident you and I became Course in Miracles students. Yeah, we were asking the right question, but we were asking the wrong teacher. All it took for both of us was a 1/10 of a degree, shift in trajectory, and we found the right teacher to ask. We don't ask the ego these questions. It'll drive. That's what drove me mentally ill. I was asking all the questions to the ego, and I'm getting a thumbs up from you. And guess what? Perfect. That was our school assignment. The papers got graded. They sent back and said redo it. We, if we do nothing else in this lifetime incarnation, to ask that question to the right teacher, then all of a sudden, it's like the clouds part, and the sun comes in, and that's when I heard Marsha say, "Bullseye." I'll be goddamned. She did not die in 1983. You're right. Bullseye, kiddo.
Yeah, we're miracles because we defy time. We defy our stories. We defy the past. The past painted us, homeless, derelict, drug-addled, blah, not a good end at all. But because we are training our minds, and we know the mind is the source, not the body, not the body. And we're going to just say mind, meaning consciousness. We all are here to answer, where am I? Am I in a body? Am I truly controlled and at the mercy of something? Am I trapped inside? I mean, we all must have struggled with these questions at some point. And everything, like you often say, the drugs helped at some point. But did you always know this was something you would give up, or did it just happen? The
No,
idea just downloaded in your head?
I knew they were temporal. I knew the master's degree was temporal. I knew the bachelor's degree was temporal. I knew the boyfriends were temporal. I knew the boat was temporal, the houses, the investments, on and on and on. Something inside of me said, it's basically neti neti, not this and not that, not this, not that. I don't know where that came from. It had to have come from being loved as a little boy. I'm not saying my parents didn't love me, but mom and dad were, stressed out kids. I mean, it was my grandmother who looked into my. I don't even know she looked into my eyes, so I could feel her. I can't put words to a feeling. I remembered she knew who I was. She didn't look into my eyes. She looked into here, and she knew that. See, that's what love is. That's what I get to do in this ministry. I get to, I mean, I'm going to talk about metaphysics, and we do, 140 Zoom calls. But someone comes in here, and I get to give that gift to someone else. Listen, if it hadn't have been for going all the way down, I would. There would be a level of artificiality, perhaps. I don't want to put a carte blanche, but when I I know what's true. Now, and so I get bombarded every day with what's not true. Well, that's just homework. It's homework every day, every single day. I mean, I'm here in Ohio, and I'm getting triggered. Oh, here comes another trigger. Oh, you
Welcome
just
to
ride the wave,
life. But that's
ride the
life.
wave.
That's
But you show,
life.
but you know what's different now? I show up fully. I show up fully for the joy. I show up fully for the triggers. It's just a matter of what we said in the 12 steps. Suit up and show up and trust. More will be revealed. The answers will come if your own house is in order. I mean, I've memorized the 12 steps backward and forwards because I've heard those readings
Oh, I never
tens of
heard
thousands
that.
of
That's
times.
nice.
The
That's
answers will come
nice.
if your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot
I
transmit
love
something you haven't
that.
got. See to it that your
Yes.
relationship is right with him, and good things will come to pass. You will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road to happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. We
That's
that
beautiful. You need to
um,
say that slower so I can drink it in because I'm not familiar with these beautiful words of the 12 steps. That was
those are
beautiful. Oh
our
my goodness.
mantras. They
Wonderful.
I used to get so frustrated because they would hand out at every single meeting, they would hand out these laminated readings. There was how it works, the 12 steps, the 12 traditions, or maybe there was 4 readings. Until I realized one day these aren't just trite slogans. This is mind training. If we read these at the beginning of every and the promises at the end of every meeting, they were training our minds to think with the alternative teacher, not with the ego teacher that got us into the addiction, with the correct teacher. But they knew that it was about connection. Bill W is going to be my hero forever. And by the way, Bill W, he couldn't stop smoking. So what? You know,
We're
we gotta
not
love it.
here to change the outside. We all know how to do it. We all know how to look right, whether we're taking our pills and then coming out looking all normal or, you know, we all know, but it's not, we cannot judge ourselves on what we're doing. That's irrelevant. It is, what is your intentions? What is going on? What is the mind training going on? Because that's where we are, and that is what's going to manifest. What you're doing is a consequence of what you were thinking back then. And now you get to see and look where your thinking took you. This is important because your thinking must have become more elevated for you to reach the point where you could say, Doctor, I need to get off of these things. You see what I'm saying? Though your consciousness must have done it and you were compelled. I mean, I wanted to ask you again, how did that come about? Was it something happened? Was it a conscious thing? Did it just pop out your mouth and were you plotting when you went to see the doctor? You were going to tell him? How did that happen?
It's interesting. Thank you for asking me that question. A lot of people are going to ask about how I got off those pills. Well, the benzo, of course.
Now, I want to ask you how you even started thinking to ask to get off of it. What made you think to ask to get off of it when you have been taking it for years and years and years? I think that's important for people to understand too, because I can't imagine taking something for 20 or however, even a year or so. I've heard people that were on it for 3 months and the nightmare they had getting off of something. So we're talking about someone who might have been on these. We are talking to someone who's been was on it for years and years. So what made you think you could give up this crutch, this 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 essential thing?
Oh, man, that's a valuable question. Boy. I got to go back to around 2016 when I can still remember I was living in Jackie's the barn loft, and I can still remember that pill bottle that was sitting. I can put myself right back there in 2006, the very last pill, and I just said, I listen. Here's how I stopped believing. I said this before. I stopped believing in them. I say these things are. I said these are sugar pills. I've been fooling myself for the last 25 years, taking sugar pills. Something inside of here said said, look, what is this? It's a little capsule with powders and potions. I don't believe in this stuff anymore. I just stopped believing. It's the best answer I can really provide. I said, I guess as I was doing the spiritual work, I started to realize who I was. And when I realized who I was, it was a no-brainer that, no more of these little capsules. I mean, everyone's asking about taper schedules. I didn't have a formal taper schedule. I just said, well, one every third day, one every fourth day, until finally that was the last pill and the last bottle in February of 2016. Then we go back to Klonopin 13 years ago. I mean, Klonopin had to be, that was such a high dosage and such a powerful medication. I had to come off of that scrupulously with a very specific doctor regulated taper of 9 months. But as far as the other ones, I think the best answer to the question is I just had discovered and remembered so much that they quit me. How does that sound? I think the other thing you said is, you're right. Truly, as a young man, I can go back to what I was thinking and believing as a young man. I truly believed in my father's religion. I believed in his religion. As we expand, our thinking expands, our believing. I remember the very first time, my father, God rest his soul, no disrespect. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and disrespect him. He would say the craziest things, that and the best I could do as a teenager was to say, fuck you. That's what teenagers do, Dad says, all, people who don't have jobs, should be put in concentration camps, What does a teenager do? He lies, cheats, and steals to try, or he says, fuck it. He does anything to get out of that environment. Because that was, trust me, I heard stuff like that come out of my father's mouth. I remember I was 17 years old and I was in bad shape. So the rest of all of us were in bad shape. Grandmother had just died and nobody ever even asked me about grief. I remember once we were sitting at the dining room table where we ate all of our meals, and I was sitting towards the window, he was sitting towards the kitchen, and my brother was sitting opposite me. And this look of disgust came over his face, and he looked at me and he pounded the table with his fist and he said, "You're rich, young, and handsome. You have no reason to be depressed." I said to myself, well, that one's going to go down in the book of records for your Steve-isms. But seriously, that was what he was thinking and believing. And actually, you know what? Although I said this man's nuts, so I got to get out of here. There was part of me that believed, you're right, Kenneth, you are rich. Because I've told everybody about the money. You are handsome. I said, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why are you depressed? So that's, what were we thinking and believing? We were thinking and believing the best we could. Spirit's not going to give us a white light. Well, maybe some people get white light episodes. Spirit's going to I said it before, I call it the trail of breadcrumbs. Spirit's going to love you out of this one belief at a time.
I like that trail of breadcrumbs. I think that's what we have all followed, our little crumbs, and taken. And I think that's something we want to share with other people, that it can look linear, following the crumbs, and it also can be quantum. You can quantum leap your way out of things as well. And that is all. You won't know. You don't have to know. You don't have to know. But it's good to know that you're being guided, that you're going in the correct direction. And I know along my journey, it appears I took detours away from the truth, thinking I was seeking that was the truth, only to find out it was not. And And of course, probably all of us have done that. And I think we just have to, again, the mind training, whether you're doing it with AA or A Course in Miracles or whatever, you got to do it. If you don't do it, then how will Spirit help us and give us that thought? This is my last pill, or give us the inspiration. Oh, maybe I'll just take this, not today. Maybe I'll take a little piece less. Maybe I'll talk to my doctor about whatever it is. In this ministry, we're talking about those people who are feeling some kind of way about taking these pharmaceuticals. But I really want to bore in that it is a metaphysical thing. It doesn't sound like it came through your conscious, your logical mind, your logical brain. And I want to say that again. This is not, what we're doing here makes sense, but it may not make sense to the logical caterpillar brain. You understand? It's not going to be comprehensible. That's fine. Come back to us when you want to see if we make some more sense to you.
There's about 4 topics I wrote down there. Let's see if I can touch on the first one, which is the most valuable. Listen, the premise of the 12 steps. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Yeah, you're right, and that's what I want archived. I was thinking I'm starting to put names on these Zoom calls because I'm go back and try and pick out the topics. But you nailed it. We're never going to figure this out, and that is our spiritual awakening is when we realize it's an impossible situation because, not in spite of, but because of what we thought were detours and cul-de-sacs were anything but detours and cul-de-sacs. They proved to us, Krishnamurti said, don't believe a word I said. Go see if it's true for you. You and I have now emerged from mental illness, and I've emerged from 25 years of psych meds and benzodiazepines because we have now figured out that the world is an impossible situation. That is a spiritual awakening. Does it make our lives any easier? What it does, in my story, it shifted me from one track just a little bit to the left on another track. That track was going over a cliff. This track is going up the mountain.
Yes.
And on this track, now I'm supported by the universe or God or Holy Spirit or Marsha. When you're supported by the universe, you don't need green paper strips and little round metal discs anymore. And I've gotten so much flack. People. So that's why I don't share all the time. I keep it to myself. What do you mean you don't need money? And here comes the yeah, but. It's like it's only for this. It's a holistic garden secret. That was what I came here to accomplish, was to surrender the green paper strips and the little round metal discs. And that miracle, by the way, has been coming on slowly as I unbelieve in capitalism. I unbelieve in the need for security. I unbelieve in fear, scarcity, and lack. I tried to even give my money away as a young man philanthropically, and I was still left with the fear, scarcity, and lack. Perfect. That wasn't it either. It was when I undid the fear, scarcity, and lack that I didn't need a bank account. And by that time, it was going down. Now, the miracle is, age 55, I have less money than I ever have had in 55 years, and the feeling of abundance that's my story. I'm feeling abundant for the first time because
and again, it wasn't from get the outside. That could only provide you fear. I mean, the richest people are up all night watching the stock exchange, and oh my God, I just lost $1 billion. Shit, you know. So how freeing. It's about what we're attached to, and it could be money in some situations, sex in some situations, fame, attention, whatever form it takes. And for some of us, it drove us to the point of, ah, and it's clumped under mental illness. And where is it? Where is it? In my hand, in my neck, in my foot, where in my brain? Like they say, in the brain? Where my mind is in my brain? Interesting thought. No. But the beauty of just transcending all of this. And it's not to say you can't have nice things. You have nice things. I'm sure you have nice things. We don't have to live like, give up all. We're not saying give up all your worldly goods. Just enjoy it, but and just put them in their place. It's not what the world has told you. You're not valuable for the world. You're valuable because God made you that way. We are all here to say, no matter what we've been through and taken and done, we are still loved unconditionally. And we're here to love ourselves unconditionally. How are you doing with that? How are you doing with loving yourself? Because obviously, I don't know about you, but I did not love myself. How are you in your journey from not loving yourself to loving yourself?
Well, that's now that one. We're 52 minutes into the call, and you finally sniped me. I I feel it emerging. Okay.
I love you so much. Can you feel my love? I just adore you. I just love you for you. Just for you, not your outside you, not anything, but just your willingness to be vulnerable and allow us all to come here and be vulnerable in front of the world. You know what I'm saying? I love you for that, Kenneth. I do.
Someone's got to do it, beloved. We've got to just come out here and expose everything to give others the permission slip. We're not going to get better if we don't just put it all out there and say, help. It's like that I have this video. I've seen my YouTube channel. I like to post these little funny cartoons for the video. What do you call them? The avatars, anyway. And my favorite one was, remember the Roadrunner with the Wile E. Coyote? Remember the scene where he holds up the sign and says, help? Could it be more appropriate for the prayer that we had to say? Cat came on board for the last few minutes. I'd love to. There you are, sweetie. How are you?
But let me go back to, I'm not going to let you get away from this question, Kenneth.
All right. The question. Okay. Well, the question was
self-love.
Self-love.
Yeah. Self-love. I mean, at one point I couldn't even look in the mirror and say, I love you. I couldn't look in my eyes. I was just like, that was in one of my self-help books at the time, look in the mirror, and I couldn't do it. I mean, now I can't understand how I couldn't. How are you with that? How are you with just honoring yourself and just loving yourself? Look at you. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Wow.
I know you're a real friend when I get challenged with something as valuable as that question.
No, it's important. It's important.
Yeah, and I want to. Yeah, it is important. That's why I want to, honor it with a well thought out, exceptionally well. I look in the mirror and I say, I can give myself the pat on the back that my grandmother gave me, back in 1983 before she passed. Good work, kiddo. Good work, kiddo.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. This is in many ways, this is the final act of my play. Whatever happens, and I've told this, I told this to the group. I said, I'm 55. I'll probably, I might squeeze another 40 years out of this body now that I quit smoking. I had another 40 years, but you know what? The next 40 years, I've told it, I'm in the passenger seat. Whatever happens doesn't matter anymore because I got it. Okay. So this is the part where I get to sit back and I get to watch. I try and take control every day. That's the mind training, but from here on forward, that's self-love when I get to sit back and just, I get to observe and see this beautiful, what I did for the first 55 years? I painted a beautiful painting. I call it Kenny. I painted a painting. You know what I get to do? I get to now spend the rest of my life sitting back in the art gallery. I've hung the painting of Kenny on the wall. Just admire it. He painted such a wonderful painting, the dream character, but when you sit, I don't know if you've been to the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. It's beautiful, well, just amazing museum where they have all the different small rooms all lit with natural lighting. They have benches or seats where you can just sit and notice the masterpiece on the wall. There's only a few paintings per room. I get to sit and just, as far as self-love goes, yeah. I mean, we can go into metaphysics. I'm not the one on the painting, but I can feel the relief that I don't have to paint anymore. Painting will still happen. Painting will still happen, but it's not going to be coming from these old beliefs that kind of turn it into a Kandinsky, It doesn't need to be a Kandinsky now. It can be a Monet, and I'm going to be painting Gaverny gardens. Kat, we only got a few minutes left, but I just want to say, how are you doing, sweetie? I missed you. Oh, by the way, Beloved actually interviewed me this evening, which is just fantastic. I can't wait to see what I say. How are you?
I have to watch. I'm good. I'm good.
Why?
Because
How
I
are
want
you?
to hear you interviewed. I look forward to hearing your answers. I got to know you a little bit. I got to know you a little bit. I want to hear your answers. Yeah.
Me too. I don't know what I say.
I hear you. Sometimes, I get on those things with David and I don't want to listen for the recording. It's like, nah. It feeds the ego. So I don't. But anyway, I'm doing great. I'm doing really, really well. I'm just really bearing down on this trip to Mexico now, making final arrangements. And
right. I forgot about that. We're going to rendezvous. Okay.
Yes, we are. I got a little bit of an itinerary. I'm going to do the first 2 weeks of December in Lo Marcos, and then I'm going to go to Guadalajara until the 1st of January. It's been, and then I'm going to go to the Lake Chapala area, and I'm not sure exactly where they're yet. I've got a line on some casitas in Ajijic, and we'll see. But as soon as that's the area you're in, right?
Yep.
Well, I'll be posting. You'll know right where I'm at. And
great.
We'll have to have a taco or something, some shrimp ceviche.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Me too. Me too. I love when we get to meet. Mighty companions get to meet. I mean, it's such a blessing.
Great.
It really is.
Yeah. I'm going to meet some people in Mexico that I've been through deep healing with on Zoom. And I've never physically hugged them. And I'm kind of looking forward to that.
It is great. It is great.
Yeah. It'd be nice.
Kat, Beloved, I'm going to wrap up the YouTube recording. We're going to keep the Zoom room open because I got a lot to share with you both, but we're just going to wrap up the YouTube. So this is Kenneth Price. This is Wednesday, November 16th. And this is I can't remember. It's 30. Did I say 34? I think I said the 34th midweek Zoom call for the ministry I'm hosting, psychiatricspread.com. This was a fantastic guided hour because I was interviewed by Beloved Grace. It's a thrill. This is the way it works, folks. our testimonies of psych meds, benzodiazepines, and mental illness was all recorded in this hour. So I hope that you enjoy this YouTube archive. Leave your comments below. I need you to leave comments, but even more important than leaving your comments is I need you to come on the Zoom call, because this ministry has to keep going. It is run on participation. So there's a link to my website, psychiatricsobriety.com. Go to the Zoom link. We're 9 a.m. Pacific time Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays, and we've got so far like 84, 85 of these Zoom calls recorded, and everything that was on in the ministry was in this last hour. So rock it, folks. God bless, and may the force be with you, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye.